What is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to Fireside Rangers. I'm your host, Eric Wilson. Today, joined by my co-hosts, Will Cohen and Colin Alcabe. Today, the off-season content continues. I feel like every single year the Rangers have like a major thing on their checklist they need to get done over the summer. 2 years ago when we started this channel, it was a second-line center. We got Vinny T. Last summer, it was a new head coach. We got Peter. Now, this summer, there's actually a handful of things. There's a first-line right winger to play with Kreider and Zibanejad, and it's whoever's going to replace the piece of trash that is Jacob Trouba. I'm going unfiltered here today. I hate Jacob Trouba at this current point in time in my life, but we're going to start off our summer by talking about the first-line right winger. And one player that I've seen gain a lot of traction from Rangers fans on Twitter and social media is the captain of the Ottawa Senators, Brady Tkachuk. How realistic is it? I'm not sure. Is it worth it? Again, I'm not sure. This is one of those topics I enter undecided, and I will decide by the end of the video. But we're going to be talking about it. So before we do, make sure you guys like, subscribe, ring that bell so you miss notification, leave your thoughts on this potential trade down in the comment section below. And lastly, be sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms at Fireside Rangers on Instagram, X, and TikTok for daily Rangers content and updates. But before we really get into it, I know we made the fan mailbag episode, me and Tony did yesterday. Unfortunately, neither of you were able to join us for that. So to the fans watching, go check out that video to hear what me and Tony have to say. But now I do want to give both of you the opportunity to just share your initial thoughts and reactions to the Rangers being eliminated from the postseason this year.
Not enough Ranger fans will admit this. That Panthers team was miles better than us. Like, they are a complete team, top to bottom. Their forwards all play defense at a very good level. They can all put up points. Their defensemen are all very good. They got Gustav Forsling off of waivers, and now he is making $5.25 million at 8 years, and he could win the Conn Smythe. He's in the conversation. You got guys like Aaron Ekblad, he's a shutdown defenseman, but their team top to bottom is very good, and the way they play hockey is it's like I really haven't seen it before. Like, I haven't seen it in a long time. I mean, they remind me of the 2000, like the early 2000 Red Wings, and I said that earlier, but every single time they're on the forecheck, two guys are hounding the puck. It's almost like my uncle said it yesterday. It's almost like you think there's six guys on the ice. Like, it's nuts how they just play. They're such a good team. So it sucks that they lost, but people need to give the Panthers their flowers because that team is dominant. Like, that team is very good. So it sucks, yes, but you know what? At the end of the day, it just came down to the Panthers being the better team, and that's why they dominated and won that series in 6.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but you're right. I don't think there was a single moment in that series in which the Rangers looked like the better team. Sure, they won 2 games, but everyone can thank Igor for that, carrying us to overtime. But Colin, what's your initial reaction to what we're going on about right now?
It was tough to watch the latter half. I remember, I think I texted in this chat and every other chat I was in. When they lost game 4, I pretty much called it wraps right then and there. Not taking the opportunity to go up 3-1 was tough. Bad plays by a handful of players over and over and over. Will's right. They were just a good team. They are very complete. I thought the Rangers were pretty complete too, but I mean, down the stretch we saw it. There was a lot of flaws in this team, and Jacob Trouba being our Achilles heel. But I think got to be perfect. We were trying to be nitpicky all year about this team, and this is why. Because when you don't button down every little thing, a team like the Panthers are going to roll in, play perfect hockey, top to bottom, as you said. There was literally not one weak point in that lineup, and then they're also getting quality goaltending. Like, as it gets farther and farther, it's only going to get harder. So I know people were calling us super critical of the Rangers. Even when they were winning, we were still finding things to complain about. But this is why, because if you're not perfect, unfortunately, sometimes that leads to an early exit. And it's another year where the window is getting a little bit tighter.
Yeah. And unfortunately, you were right. the Rangers weren't perfect. There's definitely some changes that need to be done this offseason, one of which is finding that first-line right winger. The Rangers started off the season with Kakko there. Didn't work. Hedl played a little bit there. Then he got injured. Wenberg, VC, the list of people we tried up on that first line goes on and on and on. No one was good enough to help Kreider and Zibanejad. Those two staying paired together is its own separate topic of conversation. I don't even want to dive into that because that's just like opening Pandora's box right there. The main message of this episode is that the Rangers need a new first-line right winger, like a sustainable forward who's going to put up good numbers and perform in both the regular season and the playoffs. Now, as I said earlier, Brady Tkachuk is gaining a lot of traction throughout the Rangers fandom, all over social media. So, Will, tell me about Brady Tkachuk and just like what qualities as a player does he possess that might or might not be attractive to the Rangers?
He plays like his brother. That's how he's a power forward who can put up points. I think he had 75 points this year, I think.
74 this year, 83.
Yeah, like 35 goals this year. And, I mean, he's a big dude. He's a heavy hitter. He's not afraid to shy from physicality. He loves to fight. I don't know how many fights he got into this year, but I know it was a good amount. He had a good amount of 5-minute fighting penalty minutes. I do remember seeing that, but I mean, he's just a big body. He's like Chris Kreider, except he's better. Like he's just like his brother, except just he's not like Matthew in the fact that Matthew's elite, and I think Brady is like that too, but just not as good. But he doesn't shy from physicality. He loves being physical. He crashes the net. He goes hard into the net, and like I said earlier, he doesn't shy away from a fight. And I guess that's what the Rangers kind of want if you're looking at like how they played in the against the Panthers. They shied away from physicality, and having someone like Brady Tkachuk, I think, would open up a lot more ice because he's going to play through a check, and he's a hard-nosed player. So that's kind of my little assessment on Brady Tkachuk right there. I don't know. Colin probably could explain it a lot better than me.
Not really. I mean, you covered a lot of it. He's just a pest. He's really good at getting under players' skins, and just, drawing penalties, things like that. And he's just, in these last 3 years alone, he's been blossoming into what could be a potential superstar down the line. 30 goals in the last 3 seasons, over 35 assists in the last 3 seasons. Last season, it was a little bit of a dip. But Ottawa wasn't really that good of a team last year. They were a lot better 2 years ago, and they were expected to be good this year, but unfortunately had some shortcomings. But and not even a lot of his points came from the power play. He is getting power play minutes, but 22 of his 74 this year were on the power play, which means, the majority of them were coming at even strength, which is what you want to see from a young star. He's able to drive play at all times and not just a power play merchant. And especially for that first line, that could be beneficial. So that is something that you want to pay attention to, not even with just Tkachuk, but with any player that we're looking to add on this right wing. You need a guy who's going to drive play, because that's what this team has been lacking for a while, and that first line specifically. So I think that is a big bonus as well. But, I know myself watching Brady Tkachuk, I hate the dude. I hate him because he's so damn good. It's like a Marchand, obviously not of the same caliber, but like a Marchand Jr., where you hate to play against him, but he's so damn good. And he just is really good at aggravating not only players, but fan bases alike. So, that's always the guy you want on your team. We have one Loki and Vincent Trocheck. Again, not of the same caliber, just because Tkachuk is only on his 6th year, going in his 7th. And Trocheck's been around the block a little bit longer. So to see him doing these things at the age that he's at is incredible. And it would not be a bad ad.
Yeah. You both labeled valid points on why the Rangers would be or should be interested in having him, at least I should say, all positive comments from the two of you. But the real concern at hand is just how realistic it is. I know a lot of Rangers fans really want to see this trade go down. And, he's locked up for the next 4 seasons after this one. So he's not a rental. You'd have him for the foreseeable future, at least while this cup window is open. For me, it's really just his cap hit that kind of gets me. He makes $8.205 million per season. That's not really a number that the Rangers have available to them, especially with Igor Shesterkin and Alexis Lafreniere becoming free agents within the next year or two. I think they're both free agents
next year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So big payday coming up for the Rangers right there. Personally, I don't know if the Rangers could afford this trade money-wise unless they were somehow to get Ottawa to retain a decent amount of that salary, like minimum half of that salary. But then that asks the question, what would the Rangers have to give up to make that happen? I know me and Will were discussing it briefly before this episode began. I originally pitched the idea of Brennan Othmann, Capo Caco, and a first-round pick. But Will, you were like, that might not be enough. Gabriel Perreault might need to be involved as well in order to make this trade happen. So honestly, I'm just at this point, I'm just backing out. I think the cost would be way too much. I'm fine with getting rid of Capo Caco. Said that in yesterday's episode. I know he's an RFA, so he's not going to leave unless he gets offer sheeted realistically. But I'm still fine with letting Caco walk and letting some new guys come and be the new face of the organization as far as prospects go. But I don't know. It seems like the price for Tkachuk, trade-wise and contract-wise, it might be a little bit too much to me. I understand the attention of the fans that really want to see him be traded to the Rangers. I get it. He provides a lot of great qualities and would fill a lot of holes on this team that the Rangers desperately need. But I think we might be able to find them elsewhere. It's just the price is too much for me. I'll hold back. But Will, what do you think a good trade for Tkachuk might be?
I think it starts with Perreault. Brady is he's 24, and he Colin said, he's had 30 or more goals in 3 straight years and 37 or more assists in the last 3 years as well. So he had 67, 83, 74, and that's playing on a bad Senators team. So I think it's going to have to start with Perreault. I don't know if they're going to take Caco, but I guess you could throw Caco in there. Maybe, Sakura, Berard, a high level prospect or not high level, but a mid-tier prospect, maybe another high level prospect, maybe Brennan Othmann, because it's the Senators are they're probably looking to get something back, because not that I don't know if they're ready to compete yet, but they've been trying to the last couple of years. They went out and signed, I know Tarasenko's gone, but they signed Tarasenko, they signed Drew and everything like that. So I feel like it'd have to be Perreault. I don't know, another prospect and then a first. And I just don't know honestly, now that I'm thinking about that, he's 24 years old. I honestly probably would do that. I can't lie. I'm going to change my answer and say, yeah, I'm doing it. But the price, the cap hit's also pretty high. So I say yes, but the cap hit's an issue, so probably won't happen.
We'll see what happens. But how do you feel about it, Colin?
I'm a hard no. The cost to get him would be crazy. He's their captain. They locked him up long term a couple of years ago. They obviously value this guy. I think he went 4th overall, and for good reason. He's arguably one of their best players, if not their best player currently. He's the heart and soul of their team. He's just a natural-born leader, and he's only 24, under team control for another 4 years at a reasonable cap hit for a guy putting up those kind of numbers. And I know that the Rangers don't have the type of facilities to eat that kind of cap, unless you're sending Jacob Trouba to the moon, which I'm all for. But literally, unless we got a money printer in the back, it just ain't happening. And that's after we have to empty the cupboards to get him. When it was talking about a guy and not only that, it also screws you down the line, because you got to sign your own 24-year-old in Lafreniere, who's on the verge of blossoming into a star of his own, and you have your elite goaltender, top 3 goaltender, and he ain't 2 or 3. So that's money that you have to allocate, and you have to start being wary of that, because you can't be handing out these lengthy deals that are going to eat a ton of cap down the line. Until Panarin deal comes off the books, we're really not safe to do anything big. just because he is taking up so much. Him and Trouba combined are taking up like almost 20. So that's a lot to top between two guys when the cap's only like 87 right now. So, I mean, Brady's a great player. And if I didn't have to not only sell my soul and my firstborn to get him on the team, we also still have to pay, as I said before, and they're going to retain cap unless we literally give them everything. I think there's better options in free agency. I don't think trading for a guy who's under contract currently is going to do us any favors, just because everybody under contract that we would want is probably going to be signed to a high cap hit. We kind of have to be able to determine how much we're going to give the guy and how much term and things like that. So I'm usually going to shy away from the trades unless it's like this guy wants out, he's not reporting to camp or something like that. And as much as I like Brady Tkachuk as a player, like I hate playing against him, as I said before, but he's perfect. I mean, he's exactly what every team is looking for. I just don't see it happening for the Rangers, unfortunately. I know this one has gained a lot of traction on Twitter. I've seen it everywhere. But it's just unrealistic for what we're looking to do if we're also looking to stay competitive outside of the next 2 years. It's just not couldn't happen.
Yeah. And
I just want to say I agree with Colin, actually. Now that I'm sorry, Eric, I apologize. My last thoughts. Now that you're saying that, like, you really are probably going to have to empty the cupboards for him. And honestly, when I said yes, I'm just thinking, oh, yeah, he's 24 years old. You know, we're good. But you know what? You're right. Like, if they're not going to do it for Gensel and a guy like him, I know that he was a pure rental, but you're probably not.
The window was also there. Like, this guy, you're banking on him continuing to blossom, working with that first line, and also probably selling on Lafreniere. Like, you if you make this move, you got 1 year. You have 1 year, and that's it. And that's if you can find money work.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm gonna change my answer to no as well, actually.
Yeah. So it kind of seems like we're all leaning towards no here. The Rangers shouldn't trade for Brady Tkachuk. I also want to add, because I just know the comments are going to say it. We understand that Brady Tkachuk is a natural left winger. So this is all banking on the fact that he could possibly transition to the right wing. We don't get enough of those comments when we're like, you know, he plays on the left side, right? We know.
Locke also play on the left side. Now look at him.
Yeah.
True.
But
also a center, and he plays the wing. And the players are flexible like that.
Yep.
Yeah. So I had to clarify that before I wrapped it up. But it kind of looks like the Fireside crew here is all leaning towards no, the Rangers should not go out and try to trade for Brady Tkachuk. I hate to burst everyone's bubbles who might have been in support of this move, but there might be better options out there, like Colin said before. And whatever those options may be, they'll probably get an episode dedicated to them throughout this course of the summer. So to everyone who tuned into this episode, I really do hope you enjoyed. Please make sure that you like, subscribe, ring that bell so you don't miss notification. Leave your thoughts down in the comment section below on how you feel about this trade. We were all a resounding no, but it doesn't mean that you have to feel the same. Tell us why we're wrong. And if you do think the Rangers should trade for Tkachuk, let us know who you're comfortable giving up for him. I'd be happy to read them and hear everyone else's thoughts. But lastly, be sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms at Fireside Rangers on Instagram, X, and TikTok. And once again, as always, have a good one. And
Let's
go Rangers.